does having a different view mean to you? Tonight on the show, like we do every other day when we come on Big Talk, it's a show where we allow our Nigerians to air their view. That's why every day on the show we have a guest, we have something to talk about. Nigeria's issue, political issue, social issue, economic issue that concerns all of us. And that's what we do on Big Talk when we come. My name is Ubong Usoro, and I'm welcoming you to tonight's edition of the show. On tonight's edition of the show, we're going to be looking at the African Democratic Congress, a party that was registered in 2005, at that time as the Alliance for Democracy, but later metamorphosed into the African Democratic Congress as we have it today. And it's become a vehicle chosen by those who are running a coalition, which they say they hope to challenge the government of the ruling All Progressive Congress, the president, especially the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. A lot of drama concerning that political party, and tonight we are going to be looking at all of that. We have joining us in our Abuja studio a researcher, a journalist who's done a lot of work concerning, research, looking at data, statistics, as we look at 2027 and what stands ahead for the ADC. As they call themselves the party to beat, they call themselves the party that majority of Nigerians are going to choose in 2027. That's a hope to be seen. But let's go for this break, and when we go back, we'll get straight into our conversation for tonight. Us tonight, to help make sense of the discussion we have, is Dr. Adetunji Ajibade, who is a political scientist and a journalist, a researcher also. He wears one hat that contains very many departments, looking at the work he's done, right? And very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us tonight on Big Talk.
Ubong, nice being on your program.
Thank you, Doc. How is Nigeria?
Politics everywhere. We're in a democracy, and this is what we're seeing.
But INEC says it's not yet time for politicking, that politicians should tune down on their rhetoric and the way they carry themselves this period.
Well, this is an interesting angle, because a few days ago I was taking note of what INEC was saying, and I kept on telling myself, yeah, INEC is supposed to be sounding like that. But politicians, their supporters, you can never keep them down. While INEC was saying that people are campaigning, I took note of something, Ubong. I noticed that some of these people who are interested in going for 2027, they go through the angle of their supporters. Now, the supporters will generally come out and say, we are not contesting. We are not registered with INEC. We are only supporting, campaigning, talking about the good, how good our candidate is. In that kind of situation, it's very tricky for INEC to hold anybody down. This is what I see majorly out there. That Politicians, maybe they are using some people. Maybe some people are trying to see how, but they are out there. The other day, even for the ruling party, before we come to the opposition party that you want us to talk about tonight, Ubong, I noticed that there's a group that went out to one of the DGs of the ruling party. And all they told the DG was that they wanted to talk about what the agency was doing that was good. Now, you can't stop supporters of the government, the DG, who is a major stakeholder in the current government. You can't stop them from going around to say this is what this agency is doing. When you are doing that, you are also promoting the government of the day. Are we going to label that as campaigning? Are we going to label it as 2027? In Lagos State, the president's state, the other day, some groups came together. They too said they wanted to do the same thing, talking about what the president has been doing, what some of the what the state governor had been doing. They wanted their people to know. Ubangu, how do you categorize that? So for me, people are trying to beat INEC's net at every turn. And I find that very interesting as a political scientist because it's all politics. Now, you see some posters all over the place. You won't see.
But the president has been, he has said it. So even his aides have said that the president has not authorized anybody to put out any poster for him. But we see the posters on Airport Road, and maybe, I don't know if the president was on lookout of his car when he's passing those roads.
The truth of the matter is that once it's very difficult. I made this comment online the other day. I said, INEC will have to be very forensic to prove in court that these people are actually campaigning. Oh, president, state governor, a new person who is just coming to contest in 2007, you don't particularly see him. People will say something support group. When you go all over the place, you see the posters, something support group. It's not the person who is actually registered as a political. So it's a very tricky situation. Even
so
when
maybe,
the president
Doctor, we're going to look at the political dynamics to that, because I think that if there's a law, there's this thing in law called the law of agency.
Right.
If somebody does something on your behalf, you are the one doing it, right? So maybe we'll have to come to that, and that's the law that applies to when children who are under the age of 16, commit some crimes. The parents are also held liable because of the law of agency. But let's get to look at some of the stories that we're able to track for our listeners tonight. And just like that, you also make some comments as we look at the stories before I will get straight to our topic. The first story we have tonight. All right, so as we'll try to bring that, we're going to be having that perspective very soon as we look at some of the stories that are actually trending on social media and on media platforms. So we just highlighted some of them so Nigerians could get to understand what is happening. All right, so Doctor, let's look at the ADC as it is today. The ADC, okay, so we have the stories now. So we're going to be taking the stories. The first story says Ogun ADC chairman cautions against misinformation on Mark and Areboshola's leadership. So the Ogun State chairman of the African Democratic Congress, Otumba Olufemi, has issued a stern warning to desperate politicians and self-centered people who are bent on destabilizing the party. So according to the chairman of the ADC in Ogun State, Arebosola remains the authentic national secretary of the ADC, while former Senate President, Senator David Mark, remains the chairman of the ADC, even though a lot of people, some persons, the statistics may not, give me the right to say a lot. Maybe some persons are not in support of this, but we're going to be talking about that. People like Dumebi Kachuku, who was ADC's 2023 presidential candidate, and Dr. Musa Isa Batara, who was the national public secretary of the ADC. The current public secretary of the ADC is Bolaji, who was a one-time minister. All right, we take another story now. A suspect in Charlie Craig killing arrested after family trip. So U.S. authority today said they captured a man accused of killing prominent rights wing activist Charlie Kirk after a family member helped to turn him in after a frantic manhunt. So, Doctor, I like that we still are with this story for some time because it's actually trending everywhere. Charlie Kirk, who was conservative, his political view was right wing, and he was very conscious and intentional. Went to US, the founder of Turning Point in the US, and established Turning Point when he was age 18, died at 31, married to Erica, has 2 children, young kids, and employs over 5,000 Americans, hosts the Charlie Kirk Show, podcast, 2 podcasts, and was doing amazingly for somebody who was just 31 years, and achieved all of this. And we saw 2 days ago he was shot during one of the campus visits he had in Utah, where he engages in open debates with people from all walks of life, and we just keep arguing, keep talking, sometimes for 4 hours or 5 hours and thereabout. We've even seen him go to Oxford, go to Cambridge, engage in debates with people. And the funny thing is that Kirk didn't even go to college. He just stopped at high school, applied for the US elite corps, and wasn't able to get into school. Then he went ahead with his business, and he made a name for himself. I like that you give some comments that the US government have arrested somebody who allegedly may have been the person behind the killing.
Right. It's a condemnable act. Let's start with that. And it's the kind of situation you wouldn't want to see, even in your own country. We are talking about the US here. But immediately the news came out, it occurred to me, we can't be having this. This is political killing. This is political assassination, just for expressing your view. It's to the extreme. And I stand condemned. Politics is an interesting thing. But when situations like this come in, where do we hide? I can't imagine, the president in the US had already condemned. Every important person, former President Barack Obama had already condemned. People around the world did. And it's because it resonates, especially in nations where this kind of thing happens. I just hope justice is done here, and a scapegoat is made of this kind of character.
Yeah. Today we've heard U.S. President Donald Trump, talking about death sentence and saying that maybe the death sentence, even talking about it, but lawyers and some people have said, we don't put the cart before the horse. Let's allow the law to take its course. And of course, he's been arrested, allegedly is a killer, but he still has a right to a lawyer, a right to defense, and all of the process. And let's see what the courts are going to say at the end of the day.
Right. I believe enough evidence is there. I want to believe that because this happened in the open space, and it should be made a lesson to any other person who may just want to disrupt the political space.
So the news says he was torn in by his family member.
Right. That should be the case, because you can't imagine anybody supporting this kind of act. Political space is a free space. We shouldn't be out there speaking our minds, and we are free.
Well, let's bring it back home, Doctor, now.
Right.
In Nigeria, I remember in Ogun State, Shegu Oni, is it Shegu Oni? There's a political killer. I'm trying to wrap my head around the name, but I remember that till today the case has not been solved. Even in Lagos State, we've had a politician that so even back home, right? But I think in recent times we've not really had, except when we had the unknown gunman, remember Gulak, who went to Anambra State and was assassinated, and people said it was politically motivated, although some commentators also argue that maybe it was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, let's talk about political problems in Nigeria. Are we able to manage the polity and not get to the extreme where people start, thinking of assassination and all of this because people have divergent views from what you think?
I think your question has just raised another angle to this, which reminds me of what transpired years back, political thuggery and the rest of it, because that's where it starts from. when anybody can feel they can just take up arms, disrupt election. But of recent, I think that is being reduced.
Right.
And the moment we start that process of ensuring that people don't feel comfortable just carrying arms, disrupt election, go to people's house and, remove them and think that would be what they will need to win the next election, I think we'll be getting to the point where this kind of killings will be less. You cannot rule out people who are just living on the edge. But then, making it a culture is what we are talking about, that it shouldn't happen.
Right.
Like this kind of individual now, how are we going to place it? The fact that everybody is condemning, the family is saying no, and the news is that the family, one member of the family has just turned in me. It's like, no, this can be a culture here. This man is on the edge. Let's isolate him, and let's let the Lord deal with him. Right. So in Nigeria here, I think recent elections are pointing to the fact that compared to the past, we are having a situation in which most elections are not being disrupted as they used to be. Yeah. And that would be a pointer to people who think political killings could be the way out. Even though those ones that have happened, we really wish that there are closures to them.
Right. So before we move here, I'd just like to ask, America prides itself as the land of the free, the land of opportunities. And some people said on social media, we weren't expecting this kind of thing from America. Maybe there are some other countries, no disrespect, so I will not call the names of those countries, but well, I have it on top of my head, some names that just come, that if you say it was in this country, people say, it probably has the best security. But why America at this time? Can they still pride themselves as the police of democracy, as they've done, the world police of democracy, like they've done over the years?
Ubongai, that's an interesting question, and it makes me think. These are things that each time I hear it, I hear them, it makes me want to consider. The point essentially is this: human beings are human beings everywhere. What they want to do, they will still do, except the system is such that it can prevent them. Human beings get emotional. Sometimes we get to the edge and we are like, why is that one reacting like that? But when it comes to politics, when it comes to issues that people are interested in, maybe by the time this guy is arrested and we get to know exactly what the motives are, but it's very obvious from what Kirk has been saying, and for anybody to pick a gun, and it can happen in any society. We've heard of situations, people leave an event, come out of the whatever, and the next thing is that they bring them down. Emotion, whether religious, whether political. How does the system deal with that? In a preventive manner, or in ensuring that such people are brought to justice? I think that's where the focus is. While we can say, America, why there? The truth of the matter is that people will still escape what they have studied the system in order to be able to escape. Look at President Donald Trump during the campaigns. The preventive measures were taken, but the individual that carried out that assassination attempt, the security forces were like, we were not looking in that direction.
Yeah, and he escaped by whiskers because, you saw the blood and he had to raise his hand. But right. I like that we move from that and look at our discussion for tonight. But I'd just like to ask one more question concerning Greg's killing and all of the condemnation that we've had, coming over this period. I'd like to ask now, for us as Africans, for us as Nigerians, can we play a kind of politics that is devoid of hatred, of this kind of hate? Is it because some people have even said maybe it's a mental problem and all of that? The hate aspect and all manner of behaviors that are not acceptable in the society. When people are on the fringes of the society, whether emotionally and the rest of it, it's hard to prevent. It's just that the best we could do is to mitigate and ensure that people
they are not given the opportunity to carry out. Hate is condemnable. Even in my column today, in the newspaper, I wrote about it. In terms of Nigerians just hating one another, there are effects, and I seriously warned about it. But when people go that way, how do we get the larger society to isolate them and let them realize that this is not right? We are talking about emotion. You cannot keep people down, but isolate them when you can. This is the best we could do. And I'm sure that they don't cause harm to the rest of the society.
Right. Thank you so much, Doctor. Let's take a few other stories tonight as we try to get into our discussion. And we have with us Dr. Adetunji Ajibade, who's a political scientist and a journalist. Okay, so the next story we're taking for tonight is about Kano government. Kano governor backs bill for full local government autonomy. So Kano State's governor, Alhaji Abba Yusuf, has thrown his weight behind a new bill seeking to grant full autonomy to all 44 local government councils in the state. I will take the last story for tonight. Obasa downplays feat team as Lagos legislator hints at higher ambition. So the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudisharu Obasa, has expressed openness to contesting for a senatorial or gubernatorial position depending on his party's direction. I know there's a lot you want to talk about, but let's go to our discussion. Obasa, at the point he left, he was removed from office. He was impeached, and we saw somebody took over as the substantive chairman. He traveled out of the country, and the politics that brought him back. And there's been a lot of conversation as to his relationship with Governor Sanwo-Olu and what he looks forward to the future. Doctor, just in 30 seconds, what do you think Obasa is going to be contesting for, a governorship or senatorial seats? As
a politician, it's time he moves up, and he has the right to move up. He's been there 3 terms as Speaker, I think.
He's been there 5 terms.
5 times, right. And that was, he said it rightly. He said, whatever direction my party gives. And you know Lagos politics. All the important people are there, and they are going to have a say.
The GSC.
Thank you. They are going to have a say on what happens to him. But I think if he decides to move up, he deserves to move up.
There are questions about imposition, but that's not for today. But for today, I want to look at 2027 politics. INEC recognition of David Bonaventure Mark as the chairman of the ADC. Dumebi's the 2023 position candidates, 2023 presidential candidates of the ADC opposition, and what it means for the party in 2027. Doctor, we saw a new movement, the ADC. Almost the same thing that happened with the APC in 2014. We saw the ADC, come up, a party that has existed since 2005, right? But opposition leaders chose the ADC as a vehicle that they are going to use to prosecute their opposition to the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And they've listed a lot of things: economy, they're going to do better; agriculture, they're going to do better. And they've listed a few other items that how they want to handle and move the country forward. Let's talk about the ADC. Is there any hope for the ADC in 2027, Doctor?
Every party has a chance. But we have to take a look at certain criteria.
Yeah.
ADC has been there. Now big wigs are coming in, talking about people like former Vice President Atiku.
He's not joined them officially yet.
Well, he has not told us he's not there at the moment, even though he has not been officially registered. The feelers are that he wanted to do the registration before the intrigues that happened. He tried to slow down the rest of it, and that there is a plan B. So for now, what we are looking at
is a plan B.
There's a plan B. When you relate with politicians, you will know, you will understand how they think, and the information coming out is that he's still trying to, and the fact that he himself had not actually put pens to paper is making other people to also stay where they are before they jump. But the fact is this: we have less than 2 years to the next election, Ubok. How is ADC going to do it with the presence of? We are talking about winning. We have the APC, that is very keen as incumbent. We have the PDP there too. So before you say you want to win, you have to beat APC, beat PDP.
There's a Labour Party.
There's a Labour Party. That's the reality on ground. And we are essentially talking about the presidency. Let's leave let's leave that one out for the moment. My thinking is that ADC is still gathering strength.
Right.
And look at the situation now. Pieces of news coming out is that there is internal wrangling, court cases, state level. In Kogi State, the honorable representing Kogi West there, House of Rep, is insisting. Nobody has taken over his party. In some other states, the same thing. These things are happening. Those who are supporting are supporting. For how long are you going to do all of that and get yourself settled and begin to build structure across the country that will give you the presidency? Don't let us forget that the presidency is all about the number of states, 23 or 24, you must win. How many of these states, Ubong, let's ask ourselves, is ADC already strong enough?
But our conversations, Doctor,
Yes.
In 2023, Peter Obi got 6 million votes, right. And he didn't even have any governor. It was just natural love, so dynamics could change.
Ubong dynamics, I agree with you. Dynamics could change. But let's look at where Obi's votes came from. Before that election, I kept on insisting. I traveled across the north to east, east to west to east, north central to the far north. And I wasn't seeing much of the presence of the Labour Party. Only where they had a candidate who was contesting, that's where you see visibility for the party. And I was saying, Labour Party will have issues with the north. When the election result came out, Ubong, we saw the spread.
The one in the southwest, the one in the southeast, the one some states in south like Delta, southwest, the one Lagos, southeast, the one Abia, the one Imo.
So you tell yourself, there's no way.
The one in north central.
The one in north central. But where it mattered, some of the states that deliver larger bulk, APC got them. And then PDP got some. You see, let's be realistic. Labour got over 6 million votes. That is true. But before that election, I was saying what Labour needed to scale through for the presidency, it wasn't very, very visible there. What we are pointing out at this moment also, Labour is there, true, for me, much weaker with the internal wranglings.
Right.
3 separate bodies claiming leadership of that party at the moment.
Is it now 3? I know of 2.
It was 3. This Yoruba man, Apampa, still came out a couple of weeks back claiming he was the chairman of the party. He will take a group. There's the Senator Nanadi group. There's Abure's group. That's a splinter. How do you resolve all those things? Every party has issues. But when you take a look at some of the issues some of these leading parties are having, compared to the ruling party, you begin to ask yourself, where will this election go?
Right, but there are conversations. There's this conversation about the fact that the issues in this party, like you mentioned, are formulated.
Yeah.
The allegations are that these issues are formulated by the ruling party.
Ubong, as a political scientist, that's an interesting question, and I find it interesting. Intrigue is part of politics. Whatever you can do to undercut your opponent, you will do. These are things I like to watch out for in politics, not just the straightforward whatever. What is this party doing to the other party? The other day, all of us had the President Tinubu saying, I'm not going to help the opposition. Right. Why will he help the opposition? If you have the opportunity, that is politics. It's part of politics. The shenanigans, the intrigues, the undercutting, the attempt to outwit the other party. These things are happening. Just as the ruling party may be using it, so the opposition may be using it. The last time I was here, Ubong, you were saying, the first question you asked me, very interesting question. You said, these parties held their conventions and their meetings around the same that very week. That did it show unity? I told you right on this at this table. I said that is an attempt to outwit, to be smarter than the other one. Each party is watching the other one. What are they doing that we need to improve on? What are they doing that we can now use to undercut them?
Yeah.
All these intrigues are there. So if the ruling party does that, I will find it very interesting to ensure that the opposition is unable to unseat it.
Those are allegations, all right. So let's go for our first break tonight. When we're back, we'll get straight to keep talking about the ADC and the recognition of David Bonaventure Mark as the chairman by INEC and what it means for the party going forward. Let's go for this break. If you're just joining us, this is Big Talk on Global Television, a program where we highlight political issues. Tonight, we have joining us Dr. Adetunji Ajibade, who is a political scientist and a journalist, a researcher. I also have to add that, right? And we're looking at 2027 politics. INEC recognition of ADC's leadership matters arising. So the ADC, as a party, was chosen as a vehicle and it was said over time, and it was chosen as a vehicle by those who want to oppose the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. And there are questions, why the ADC? We have about 19 political parties now after the deregistration by INEC. So why the ADC? Why were they chosen? And now we are seeing people like Dumebi Kachuku, the 2023 presidential candidate of the ADC, fighting against this leadership, saying that the party was hijacked by money bags, by politicians who had their time in government and have nothing to offer Nigerians. I like that you put all of those thoughts into one.
The fact is that I believe the groups that that moved into APC, they did their due diligence. They looked at the structures. They looked at the how well ADC is on the ground, and compared to the other parties who are there. As for the opposition being raised within the ADC itself, for me, it's expected. And I think the weight rests, the burden is on those who are coming in to ensure they persuade everybody who is a stakeholder. The first thing
who is or who was?
The fact is that when these issues started raising their heads, I told myself, those who are coming, did they reach out to the right set of people? Because that's what politics is all about. Bring everyone who is anyone to the table. Did they do that? Is that the reason is it that because they didn't do that, that's why they are having these problems? Because if you compare what is happening now to what happened in 2012, 13, 14, when APC, the ruling party now, was trying to form, I am not too sure, because it seemed to me that time that they took their time, and what they cleverly did was that the parties that would raise issues, they simply took a wink. For instance, APGA, it wasn't the entire APGA that joined APC. So the side of APGA that wanted to go joined the APC merger, right? Is ADC, those who are coming into ADC now, do they factor that into consideration? Because what we hear at the national level is that they've taken over the entire structure. Meanwhile, part of the structure is complaining. I don't remember if in 2013 and 14 we had this kind of internal, whatever, troubling
Yeah,
the APC.
Doctor, I just like to point something out that in 2014, it seems that what we had was a major, and from what I'm thinking, it seems the major is different from the coalition that we're having, because the major came with, like you mentioned, we had the CPC bloc headed by late former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Right.
We had the ANPP bloc, Obonaya Onu, former Minister of Science and Tech. We had the ACN bloc led by the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We had one other bloc. ABGA.
There was a part of ABGA.
Okay. So all of they came together, and the other parties became defunct. They are not existing again. So they push. But I'm not seeing political parties coming together here. What I'm seeing with the ADC, I don't know, maybe you correct me.
Exactly.
It's politicians coming together.
Right. Exactly the point I made right from the word go. In fact, the last time I was here, I pointed that out. When they say coalition, that was different. That's quite different from a merger. See, a coalition, we've experienced coalition in the First Republic in such a way that parties stay. And then during election, they say
NPC.
They are working together. MPC, the Northern People's Congress, with the Azikwe's party, and the rest of them, they came together. Awolowo's Action Group, and the rest of them, they came together. That was, for me, in my head, it still rings like the coalition. Now, ADC has not been able to me, cross that line of we are not just coming from different parties to say we want to work together. They've not shown me that they have actually come together under the umbrella of ADC. And until they do that, it takes away the chances. Just like the question you asked earlier, that you asked earlier, that what are their chances in 2027? The fact that they've not been able to settle, because that's the way they come across if they don't know. We Nigerians are telling them that that's the way you come across. You aren't settled. The entire house is still, it doesn't look like the settled arrangement that we had for APC that time.
But they'll point out that the announcement of David Mark as the chairman of the party is the first step towards that settlement, because now if you go on INEC's website, David Mark is the chairman. So eventually they've taken over the party machinery. Yes, Arebe Shola may have some issues back and forth, but they've taken over the party machinery.
Ubong, if you consider the number of court cases regarding it, you mentioned Kachuku the other time. The man in Kogi State, I wonder why I keep on forgetting his name now. He contested governorship the last election. He's still in the House of Rep. He says he doesn't want. And by the time you can be sure that until these guys are settled, these political stakeholders, until ADC leadership under Senator Mark and former Governor Arebe Shola, until they are able to bring them down, it's a tricky situation for those court cases, because whatever INEC does, it will still, at the end of the day, respect whatever the court says. Absolutely. So we are not seeing, as far as I'm concerned, I've not seen the end of the tunnel as at this moment we are talking.
Right. So, but some people have pointed out to the fact that it seems the ADC may have been formed because some people ran out of favor or got into problem, or their relationship got bad with the current president the current president Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Is that right? Is that what led to the formation of the ADC?
We want to be sure of the percentage of people coming from APC, because if you say some groups
former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, people have mentioned his name.
Right. Malam Nasir, how do I put it? He has taken his decision to express himself under a different platform. And if we are going to ask the question, is it that he's displeased? Of course, naturally, he's displeased. If we trace the trajectory of how he worked with the incoming president, who is now the president, President Tinubu, and how at the end of the day he was nominated to go to the House, and at the end of the day he didn't get that position. If you don't feel comfortable under a particular umbrella, it may not necessarily have anything to do with the president. It's all about, I still want to play politics, but this current dispensation appears to have left me out. Any politician has the right to move on to a platform where they will be active and have a say and pursue their whatever idea they want to pursue people are definitely going to get displeased with any system. You will have people like that, no matter what the ruling party does. You have that situation because the ruling party is not going to be able to, even when you are in power, you are not going to be able to take care of practically everyone. You will take care of the stakeholders and the rest, but some people will still get, even when you take care of them, politicians, they may see a better, a greener pasture somewhere and they move on. So if it happens, for me, it is part of politics.
All right, so I'm talking about ADC and what we see. Should they not at this moment be focusing on consolidating and having maybe a major with some of these other political parties and reaching out to them so that they could have their structures being brought into the umbrella of the ADC?
I think a few things will have to sit down well first before you see the kind of mass exodus that I suspect you are referring to. Because what the feelers I have is that many people are still trying to, like, let's see where the leaders. If somebody like former Vice President Atiku has yet to put pen on paper, it has.
Somebody told me that that there is a rumor that Atiku, that's in the realm of speculation. But even Peter Obi has not officially joined the ADC at the time.
The other day, the body language, the comments of former Governor Obi was still giving PDP the impression that he might join them.
I've had a PDP NEC member on this platform who has told me that the party is lobbying Peter Obi to bring him back to the party.
Exactly. Ubong, the reason why ADC is having issues, if the major figures you are looking at to draw people to make mass exodus into ADC possible, if they are still where they are now, Vice President Atiku, Peter Obi, and the rest, if that's where they are still sitting, you can imagine the effect on those who are their followers or those who are looking for a kind of solid ground on which they can land.
But there are also questions. There are other questions about who takes over the machinery of the party, because in Nigerian politics we seem to have a national leader like we had with the ADC for many years. Even though it was not in any political office, we all knew that when we talk about the national leader of the APC, we are referring to the president at that time, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and different parties have their national leaders. So who will be the national leader of the ADC? There are questions. Is it going to be an Atiku Abubakar who may be running again? Is it a Peter Obi who believes that age and time is on his side? In fact, Peter Obi has agreed to run for one single term.
In the cabinet system, for instance, in the UK, you have the Prime Minister as the leader. He will be elected as the leader of the party, and then he leads the party into election, and he becomes the prime minister. In Nigeria, the idea of national leader, I'm trying to, because it was under, basically, when you have a president, I'm wondering what kind of leader you are looking at. But APC circumvented that in 2013, 2014, and I think it worked for them. So it's an interesting question you asked. They put former President Buhari was the leader, was the president. Then they gave Asiwaju Tinubu the title of party leader. And it worked well because on so many occasions, the president will call Asiwaju to go and settle issues, and people followed him. So it helped them. How is that going to play out within ADC that is still trying to settle some wranglings, despite the fact that we have Senator Mark heading, recognized by the... How is that going to play out? I think selecting a national leader, when you are still talking about who is going to be the presidential candidate, is going to be a dicey issue. If they feel it's an office they should create that it will help, as it helped APC way back that time, I think they should do it. But I'm not too sure. I think their number one concern now, Ubong, in ADC, will be who will emerge as the president.
Who are you seeing that has a follower? Sorry, I have to ask you the question now. Who are you seeing? Who has the followership? Who has the tenacity? Who has the following? You feel that he's the right person that they should elect as the presidential candidate of the ADC? I'm going into their conventions and 2027.
I'm not going to express sentiment. I'm just going to look at what happened in the past, whenever Vice President Atiku showed up, even in the last election, how he managed to the new due process, even though everybody was saying, including former Governor Wike, the current minister of the FCT, they were like, it should come to the South within the PDP family. But Vice President Atiku had his way that time. Now it's in ADC. We are going to ask ourselves, why did he move to ADC? It's because within PDP, he knew the sentiment was like, look, it has to go to the South.
We've given you two times.
Well,
in 2019, we gave it to you. In 2023, we gave you the party ticket.
Are now against it within the PDP family. Now that he has moved to ADC, what we are going to be imagining his mindset. If he could get the ticket, presidential ticket under PDP that time, 2020.
With people like Nyesom Wike, right, with the rest of the political bigwigs, Udomi Emmanuel was contesting. We even had the Southern governors. Remember that conference that they had in Delta State? Right. And they read that communique that Southern governors in the PDP are saying that power must come to the South.
Right. Yeah. VP Atiku still got it. So now that he's leading everybody into ADC.
Oh, he's leading everybody into ADC.
In terms of political career, Ubong, he has held the highest office in the land. So people have got to defer. They have got to defer to that status. That's just is important in politics. And when you see the body language of everybody around him, they gave you that reverence. And if he decides that he wants to be the one to pick the ticket with the weight he has, the kind of weight he exerted under PDP, he got away with the ticket. Who is going to resist him? Yeah,
and I even conversation that Peter Obi should be his vice presidential candidate now and bring his 6 million votes. And somebody did the math, add it to Atiku's 8 million votes, and election will be over before 2 p.m.
Obi, anything is possible. I mean, Ubong, sorry, my apologies. Anything is possible in politics. In terms of, I thought about it too, but I remember pre-2022 primaries. There was a decision in the Southeast that nobody should be a VP candidate to anybody. That's what Obi. It was an unwritten whatever, but the mentality was there. That it was our time that the presidency was coming to the South to go for, and that emboldened former Governor Peter Obi to go forth. And his Southeast people actually supported 90% of their votes for the presidential election. Yeah. He got it. That showed you the mentality at that time that we wanted to present our own candidate. I need it. This time around, is that going to be a factor in terms of, is it going to consider that my people don't want a VP slot? And if they don't give me presidential ticket slot, presidential ticket under ADC, is he going to find his way back to Labour? Those are possibilities. But is it possible?
Is he even going to come back to the PDP?
Right. Well, I'm talking about ADC, sorry. Yeah. Not PDP now. So the triangle is there. The ADC, the PDP, the Labour. Out of these three, I think Peter Obi has the opportunity of picking the ticket there. If he doesn't get, just as I said the last time I was here, if he doesn't get it under ADC, maybe the VP you are talking about, maybe if they do their due diligence, they conduct their polls, and they discover that a combination of Atiku, because there's no way I can imagine Atiku would not want to get the ticket of ADC. And it's impossible to imagine, because that was the reason he moved in there. Everybody knows that. So is Peter Obi going to play the role of VP to him? Maybe, and then somewhere down the line, you will expect that if Atiku leaves, if they win, and Atiku leaves one day, it will give him the straight opportunity.
But also in our democracy, we've not had any vice president apart from Goodluck Jonathan, who through divine providence became president. We've not had any vice president succeed as president.
But he contested in 2011 and he won. And he won
through divine providence. He became president and contested as an incumbent president and not as a vice president.
Obi, Ubong, apologies. I have a very good friend, Obi. We did our PhD together, so he keeps on coming to my mind. My apologies. The fact of the matter is this. Sorry, you were asking about the
The possibility of Vice President Peter Obi getting the Vice Presidential ticket in ADC.
Yes, in ADC, yes, it's a possibility.
So what happens? What happens as we round up now? What happens to the likes of El Rufai?
Malam El Rufai.
Maybe a minister against a minister again. Of course, he was nominated and he went to Senate, meaning that he may want to get it.
He's a party man. He's a patient man.
I believe. Is he really patient?
Whatever.
Is he really patient? He left the APC.
No. Malam El Rufai will tell when they in APC when they lost in 2011. I mean under CPC, he said we are the party of the future.
Right.
And they waited till 2015.
Thank you.
So that was where I picked that point that he's a patient fellow.
Thank you, Doctor.
But
this time he was not able to be patient. Thank you so much, Dr. Adetunji Ajibade, a political scientist, a journalist, a columnist, and also a researcher. That's a package for tonight on a Big Talk. Like I say, Nigeria is our country, and we must keep loving this country. My name is Ubong Musoro in Abuja, and I'm saying good night.